If private cars were completely banned from the most overcrowded cities, what might happen? Yeah, I think that it will also depends on the areas that uh, this kind of new policy try to impose. For like countries like the Asia area, I don't see it will do too much. I mean, of course, it will there will be reduced in carbon footprint and uh, traffic jam, right? But the people in those areas usually will prefer something like a scooter or a motorcycle. So it wouldn't do that much, But like for like cities in like New York in America, that is where I see it will do a lot of change. So of course there will be more spaces. People will uh, use public transport a lot more. So subways and buses will be the primary transport means of transport. Of course, the carbon emission will be significantly lower, which makes the environment, um, like cleaner. You get my point, right? However, I would say that it will put a heavy toll on the public transport system now that everyone rely on it to move from place to place. So, cities that are currently overpopulated will have to find a way to enhance and manage the system better. So that's kind of what I see. How was family life different before transport links connected most towns and cities? Again, this is a pretty hard questions, right? So, but I think there is a lot of differences now. Like, let's say talking about people from a like more suburban area, right? People who are like in town and pretty much their whole life will be in that town, given that they don't have any transport link. So, first of all, I'll say that trading and like all the economic uh, activities will be a lot harder. Like they can only use what are currently available in their region, right? And so it will limit their choices and kind of limit their supply. Some will become short supply, even though in other region it is pretty abundant. So there is something to be taken considering when in terms of like supplies, and also for culture, for like in the cultural aspect, right? Uh, well, nowadays people can go back to forth in many places for an hour or so, like people can very easily travel to another place, and even it only takes like a few hours to travel to other countries. But back then, there isn't any link like that. So I see that they don't have the chance to kind of uh, kind of cultural exchange with other region or other countries, of course, right? So it will be very distinct. It's not like a melting pot like in the 21st century. Every town, every city will have its very distinct color and characteristic, rather than a uh, a mix of everything at the moment. Which is preferable, living on the top floor of a studio apartment block in a city, or a beautiful house in the middle of the countryside? Well, if that were me, I would choose the latter. I would choose the latter without hesitation. Now, considering considering living in a top floor of a studio apartment, I mean, I can say that the scene would be pretty good. You can look down the whole city. It looks really dramatic and probably pretty beautiful. But it's limit a lot of things for you. Living in the top floor of an apartment block means that, I mean, the s- the so like the even living in an apartment means that you have limited amount of space. Everything is kind of designed to cram in and designed so that with this amount of spaces you can have everything. So I can see it will be a little bit cramped sometimes, and also it takes sometimes. Actually, it will take a lot of time for you to uh, get down to like the first floor to go anywhere, because given that you're on the top floor and most block like this will be around like 35 uh, levels or so. So I would say there will be some difficulty, which is completely. Oh yeah, and also that if there were any disaster like earthquake or fire, it would be a nightmare. However, those things will completely be mitigated by living in your own house in the middle countryside. Not only that the scene is beautiful, but the atmosphere, the air is also cleaner. You have access to pretty much anything. I mean, the same can be said for the block, but it's your own house. You have a lot more space. You don't have to think about whether what you are doing is affecting other people, because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's only you and probably your family in that house. And at least to me, right, I prefer tranquility, where it's more quiet and I can just enjoy myself. So yeah, definitely I would choose the house in the middle of nowhere, a countryside. Why do people decide to move from the city to the countryside? I mean, there are a lot of reasons, uh, but I'll say that this trend is more likely, it's more preference in the kind of older uh, age group, you know, especially those who have accomplished much in life and have a good amount of savings. For example, my parents, they really want to move to the countryside to enjoy the air, enjoy the quietness, far away from the hustle and bustle of the cities, you know. So that's what I'm trying to say, right? Usually, when people move to those areas, like far from urban cities, yeah, like urban area, usually they already accomplish a lot in life and they want to have time to enjoy themselves and their family. Or a new trend that I am seeing is that people are moving to countryside because they see a potential for to like make a profit. In fact, a job prospect in countryside and suburban area is pretty high. It's significantly higher than that of urban in certain countries, especially in like I remember like Canada. When jobs such as IT, working with the computer and stuff, which like in Vietnam would be pretty highly priced, pretty highly sought after. In Canada, there are abundant amount of workers in that field, so they need like farmers, and so people start to move into the area because they see the potential to make a lot of money out of that. So yeah, those are two reasons that I can think of. How my overpopulation affects city life in the future? Well, first of all, it's the amount of supply and job prospect for its cities, which it's already happened. It's just not as severe as, let's say, 10 years later, right? So for like big cities such as, in my country, Hanoi, right? Hanoi and Saigon, it's pretty crowded, especially in Hanoi, and people are it's harder and harder to find a job in like capital cities or downtown or any place that are overcrowded because you know a lot of people want a certain position, certain jobs, but there are a limited amount of that. But the people are like triple, double, triple amount of the spot that they can provide. So that it will be a much more fiercely competitive environment, And the same thing can be said for supplies. With more people, meaning that it will take a strain in the production and delivery line to sustain the country with that ludicrous amount of energy and uh, like substance product to keep everything running. So some consequence. Yeah. Do you prefer eating healthy food or fast food? Eh, I am a I'm not a big fan of fast food. They are generally very unhealthy and also uh, really expensive. At least in like Vietnam, where our currency, where our power, money power, I don't know how to explain that. It's pretty weak. So healthy foods, like like a bowl of pho is a lot better than fast food and it tastes also better. So yeah. Which sport do you play or do regularly? Back in like 2 or 3 years ago, uh, I was swimming a lot. I swim a lot. It's pretty much like I'm not a very uh like athletic monster, So I am not very like the my if I were to compete with other people, I usually fail. But swimming is different. I It's probably one of the only sport that I uh be a more dominating in uh in like sports, So I swim a lot, and then uh, at the moment I also do badminton, and recently at the start of the in the start of the summer I take up boxing. So yeah, let's say there are three sport I'm currently doing: swimming, of course, badminton, and boxing. Do you think you have enough free time to relax? Well, I mean, yeah, about 1 or 2 hours enough. Like some days, I have a lot more. I have a whole afternoon to relax, especially in December. Sometimes it can feel a bit overwhelmed with the lack of free time I have. Well, it depends on the day, but I would not complain because I'm pretty sure that people like my parents have like 5 or 10 minutes to let their hair down and then go back to work and then come very late, like come home very late, have a meal and then go immediately to sleep. So who am I to complain, right? Why has the why has convenient food become so popular over the past few years? Well, the first reason, which is also the biggest reason, is that, of course, convenient. It's in the name. They're fast, cheap, reliable, and pretty scrumptious for something that price and something prepared at such a uh, short amount of time, and provided they also can they also have a pretty longevity. It's not the way to say it, isn't it? But you get my point, right? People nowadays are really busy, especially if you were to compare like the current generation to their grandparents or so. Like they have a they have less free time and more workload, right? So they would want something that they can put in the microwave or order in the drive-through, and a few minutes later they get a hot meal ready to eat. So that would be, you know, my take on it, right? Convenient food, it's serve its purpose, and it's fit on a dystopian world we are living in, where everyone is so fast, everyone doesn't have time to wait, and those things offer the exact uh, demand. In the future, what sort of relaxation activities will be popular? I mean, I can see first of all, sport is still a universal thing. For when we were cavemen, we already think we have a, like some kind of things doing with sports, and also can be said with arts. Drawing, watching films, listen to music will also be some of the primary leisure activities. However, I think the addition of virtual reality brings a lot of new room for entertainment, right? So let's say pure right now we are like playing games on our console or phones or computers, and like in the future, about a decade, a centuries later, we'll have like some sort of hat, like we already have, but like you get my point, to immerse and escape reality through that virtual world, which I would say will be probably the most popular uh, entertainment given the scenario, like given the stage of our world right now. What benefits do competitive sports have for the people taking part? Uh, I mean, first of all, of course, is the fitness. Like, it's good for the body, right? Because I mean, sport is it's training your body and mind to excel, to do better at this physical activity. So, of course, that's the first thing. It's also help, especially in your mentality. For like competitive sport, you are training your mind to deal with pressure, right? To find a way to solve a problem as fast as possible, because it's competitive sport. You are competing with other people, so you have to have a strong mind and a sharp thinking to overcome this living obstacle. So yeah, those are something. Should physical education be compulsory for all school children? Yes, yes, and not only should it be compulsory, it should be uh, it should be often. Like I don't know how to put it in word, but it have to be consistent, right? So if you were to like take, like in my school, right? we do have physical education, but only twice a week. Like, how little is that? And each section is only lasts for 45 minutes. So it is simply not enough to develop a strong body. That's why a lot of Asians are pretty weak if they do not if they don't take extra sport, extra activities outside school. So what I'm trying to say is that yes, it should be compulsory, but the rate of when the school, letting the student participate in these activities should also be increased. Like sometimes my school force us to do presentation for physical education. How lame is that? It's physical education. It's not academic presentation. Not nothing like that, right? So yeah, that's my whole point.